Hey, it's attorney Mark Blane practicing personal injury law here in San Diego, California, and I'm coming to you with a very important topic. It has to do with uninsured motorists in California and why you need it and how it can protect you. So I don't think it's said enough, especially here in California. We have to drive. There's freeways everywhere. We don't have public transport as we do like in the East Coast states. So being in a car is something that you're always doing. Whether you're a small business, employee, whoever you are, you're usually doing everything in your car out here in California. So you want to make sure that you've got adequate under and uninsured motorist protection. And I can't tell you, as an injury lawyer, how many times I get cases where my client doesn't have underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage or doesn't have enough. And that's really unfortunate because sometimes the at-fault party has no insurance themselves. And because they don't have insurance, we really can't do anything. Here's why. In order to go after that person who caused harm to you that had no insurance, you got to file a lawsuit. You've got to then get a judgment. You've got to then get another attorney to enforce the judgment against the assets of that person. And generally speaking, people who don't have insurance generally don't have assets to go after. So it's a catch-22. So in order to be proactive and protect yourself, you always want to make sure you've got enough uninsured. You first of all have uninsured motorists. And uninsured motorists and underinsured motorists is the same thing. I'll explain that in a second. But you want to make sure you have underinsured and uninsured motorists, but you also want to make sure you have enough of it. And I always recommend at least 100,000, if not more, in under and uninsured motorist coverage. If you do the math on it, it's really not that much more than if you're doing the state minimal policy here in California, which is only $15,000 per collision. So you always want to have at least 100,000, 250, or 500,000, whatever your budget can afford to protect you. And you want your uninsured motorists to always match your liability. So if it's 100,000 for liability, which means you're going to be, if you're at fault for a collision, you're going to be able to pay out someone for their injuries, but you also want to have 100,000 for your uninsured motorists, underinsured motorists as well. Uninsured motorist is when the other party that causes you harm has no insurance at all. So it goes into what's called an uninsured motorist claim underneath your own policy. It does not affect your policy negatively or adversely because you're not at fault for the car crash. But let's say that the other party had some insurance. Let's say the other party had state minimal coverage of $15,000 per person. And let's say that your case, you're able to get that $15,000 from them. Then we go underneath your underinsured motorist coverage. And you have to have, in California, you have to have more in underinsured motorist coverage than what the at-fault party had in liability. You can't stack the policies. So, for example, if the at-fault party had $15,000 in liability coverage and you only had $15,000 in underinsured motorist coverage, you can't get any more money. You can only get the $15,000 from the at-fault party. You have to have more in underinsured motorist coverage than what the at-fault party had in liability in order to trigger underinsured motorist review. So that's another reason why you want to make sure you have a lot of this. So more than 50,000, I recommend 100,000, 250, 500,000 underinsured motorist coverage. Think about it. If you get into a car crash and the other party has limited policy, which is pretty common here, especially in Southern California, you're taking a risk every time you go on the freeway if you don't have protection for underinsured motorists. And if you have really bad injuries, it's going to make a difference in your life, in your family's life. So minimum 100,000, try to kick it up to 250, 500, even do $1 million if you can. I see this all the time in terms of it just being not widely reported. And all the time my clients go, well, I didn't know that this was important for me to check out on my policy. Well, it's super important. Remember, you want to check your policy. Not only do you have your policy, check your policy. I also recommend that you pay your policy in advance if you can, 6 months in advance or a year. Just get it out of the way. That way you know there's never going to be argument later that your insurance can say, oh, your policy lapsed, you have no coverage. And I've had that many times as an injury lawyer here in San Diego. So that's my tidbit on uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage, the differences, why you need to have it, and why it's so important for you to have a lot of it, okay? I'll try to do some more videos on this, But if you need any more information, you can always reach me at 619-813-7955. I take calls like this all the time with questions on coverages. And you can also go to blanelaw.com and check out my, I've got a ton of consumer injury ebooks for injury cases from car crashes, drunk driving car crashes, slip and falls, dog bites, whatever it is. Check it out. It's all free. You just go in there and download it with the link provided, and it gives you a ton of information that you're going to need in your California injury case. With that said, if you need anything else, I'm here for you. And as always, stay strong. Take care. Bye-bye.